The film starts in 1990 when an organization called A Singh Corporation is working on a secret research project. One of their researchers, Narendra, is doing a live recording with a camera. But then he reaches a strange and scary multi-dimensional place called the Backrooms. Wherever Narendra looks, there are yellow-colored, never-ending corridors everywhere. Frightened and confused, he starts trying to find a way out. Suddenly, Narendra spots some cables lying on the floor. Following them, he finally reaches a room that is filled with video equipment and camera gear. He quickly pulls a big storage box in front of the door and closes the door so that no one can enter. After this, he uses the radio to try and contact his teammates. Narendra tells them that he is separated from his team and that he needs help. While talking, he suddenly hears a strange noise coming from a room nearby. Narendra, frightened, moves towards the noise and finds out that it is just a bird. Another creature trapped in the backrooms. Just like that, feeling a little relieved, Narendra continues his search. The more he goes inside, the stranger the place becomes. Some of the furniture seems to be incomplete, and some of the areas seem to be a copy of the real world. However, Narendra soon realizes that he is not alone. A creature called Still Life starts following him in the endless corridors. In fear, Narendra runs away to save his life and starts looking for a place to hide or escape. Unfortunately, he is not able to escape and ends up getting attacked by the creature. In the meantime, we see that A Singh scientists see all this happening on their monitors. In real time, despite seeing all this horrific scene, they are unable to do anything to save Narendra. 7 years later, we meet a woman named Drive, Mary Klein, who sadly sees her childhood home breaking. In order to keep a memory of the past, she decides to keep the marks of those hands, which she and her mother made together in her childhood, as a lovely memory. After this, we meet Clark. His wife has recently left him, and since then, he has been struggling with his business. He owns a furniture shop named Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire, but his business is on the verge of closing. After work, Clark goes for a therapy session with Dr. Mary Klein. During the session, he openly talks about his problems and admits that he feels very lonely. His main reason was his anger. Even after being thrown out of the house, he pays all the bills and expenses. He says that one day when he returned home from work, he had an argument with his wife and broke a glass in anger. Clark complains that he always feels weighed down by the pressure of paying bills and worrying about money. Still, there is no one to support him. He also says that he did a lot for his wife, even paid her tuition fees. After expressing all his anger and disappointment in front of Mary, Clark finally feels relieved. Later, he disguises himself as a sea bandit named Captain Clark and works with his assistant manager Kat and her boyfriend, Bobby, to shoot a commercial for his shop. The purpose of this shoot is to attract new customers by giving special discounts. But during the shoot, everything goes wrong. Later, Clark meets an electrician to solve the electricity problems of the shop. Even though the shop is still, the electricity bill is too high. They both go to the basement to find the electricity panel. During the investigation, they see 3 strange breaker switches that look completely different from the other. This discovery makes the mystery of the shop even more disturbing. The same night, when Clark was watching TV inside the shop, the TV suddenly turns off on its own. It becomes clear that since his wife took him out of the house, he has been living inside the shop. He immediately starts looking for the cause, but he does not understand anything. After a while, all the lights in the shop suddenly turn on their own. They dim quickly and then turn off. Worried and restless, Clark goes from his old car to his old house and quietly looks at his wife from the outside. The next day, Mary comes during her therapy session, but she herself is struggling with emotional problems. She is still trying to get over her sick mother's memories and the trauma of losing her childhood home. The next night, Clark again sits in the shop to watch TV. Suddenly, for less than a second, a strange blue room appears on the screen, and then everything becomes normal. That small glimpse is enough to convince Clark that something abnormal is happening inside the building. To find out the truth, he himself starts investigating and goes back to the basement to check the fuse box. He turns off every switch that makes the whole shop dark. Then he sees a mysterious light coming from inside a wall. Attracted by that light, Clark touches the wall and goes straight across it. Meanwhile, he finds himself in the same yellow back rooms that were shown at the beginning of the film. Completely surprised, Clark realizes that the wall works like a portal, which is more likely to come between two different worlds. Excited, he goes further inside those back rooms. There, he finds a huge pile of furniture, which is exactly like the display of his own store. He carefully looks at those never-ending scary alleys. During the search, he finds the same dead bird that was shown in the beginning of the film. While roaming in that area, he finds a strange statue, from which an old audio recording is playing. Nearby, he finds a path where things left here and there are lying. These things belong to researcher Naren, the very man who mysteriously disappeared at the beginning of the story. While walking on that path, Clark reaches another room. There, he sees shoes and chairs half embedded in the floor, as if they had been left unfinished during their making. Suddenly, he hears a voice coming from far away, echoing in the darkness. In excitement, he walks towards that voice and asks if anyone is there. But then he sees something very scary and decides to move back immediately. Unfortunately, the scary creature called Still Life starts following him. Running for his life, Clark reaches the spot where he had first entered the backrooms. Somehow, he finds the right way and he runs back to his basement. However, before leaving there, he picks up a piece of furniture from that mysterious world and brings it with him. Along with fear, a dangerous obsession also starts growing in his mind for that strange place. Clark has no idea that a scientist from Async Corporation has already seen everything through the CCTV cameras in the back rooms. Later, Clark meets Dr. Mary Klein again and tries to tell her everything about the back rooms. He tells her that he has found a place under his shop which looks like a never-ending maze of interconnected subspaces. To prove his point, he shows her a map as well. But Mary refuses to believe him. She feels that Clark's words are just the result of his addiction to alcohol and his deteriorating mental state. Frustrated and distressed, Clark vows to force Mary to listen to him. After this, he meets Kat and Bobby, who work at his shop, and convinces them to investigate the mysterious place hidden under the building. He asks them to bring a camera so that they can record whatever they see. After a few hours, the three of them set out on their mission. When they prepare to go to that unknown place, Kat and Bobby laugh. They have no idea what a horrific scene is waiting for them down there. When Clark says that he can actually walk through walls, everyone laughs in disbelief, but their laughter disappears immediately when Clark steps into the wall in front of them and disappears. They both get scared. Still, Clark tells them to come inside. Finally, they both follow him into that strange world. Kat finds everything very strange and scary, but Clark leads them further into those never-ending corridors. While moving forward, they record whatever they see in the camera. For safety, Clark ties a rope around Bobby's waist and takes him down a narrow path with the camera so that he can find out what's ahead. Clark and Bobby are carefully pulled down by the rope. After passing through the narrow corridors, Bobby reaches a room. There, he finds piles of scattered clothes on the floor. Suddenly, the light in the front room starts flickering on its own. Then, without any warning, he faces the same scary Still Life. Out of fear, Bobby turns around and starts running. When he finally gets back up, he warns Clark that something very dangerous is hidden down there. But before anyone could do anything, the rope tied around Bobby suddenly started pulling. That Still Life starts pulling him down. Clark and Kat try their best to save him, but Bobby is pulled into the darkness screaming. A few moments later, Clark and Kat are also attacked. They both fall down from the same narrow path and see with fear that the Still Life is pulling Bobby across the wall. Kat tries to save him by running in the alleys, but she also disappears mysteriously. Now, scared, Clark tries to find a way out. The problem is that he doesn't remember where he came from. While roaming in the endless alleys, he finds a strange room with a Christmas tree. Suddenly, a mysterious woman with a stale life slowly starts walking towards him. Clark gets scared and runs away and locks himself in a place that looks like a bathroom and is endless. After a while, he starts hearing the sound of a cat through the walls. What is worrying is that he doesn't know where the sound is coming from. At the same time, the stale life picks up the camera that he had left there and slowly starts moving towards him. Meanwhile, Dr. Mary thinks about her past. She remembers that when she was a child, her mother used to cover all the windows and doors of the house with a paper sheet and used to warn her not to go out. Due to her mental illness, Mary's mother believed that the outside world is a very dangerous place. Mary suddenly comes out of that memory and starts examining the marks of those old fingers again. Then Clark receives a message on his answering machine. In that, he says that he will never come back. Hearing this, Mary gets very upset and immediately goes to Clark's shop. Meanwhile, a scientist working for a Sing Corporation, Phil, watches the advertisement of Clark's shop on TV at home and immediately recognizes Clark's face. At the same time, Mary reaches the shop in search of Clark, but the place is completely empty. She goes to the basement where she finds the map of the back rooms made by Clark and a strange design on the wall. She carefully looks at everything around her. Then, in front of her eyes, a fly suddenly flies across the wall. This sight surprises her. She carefully puts her hand inside the wall and realizes that Clark was always telling the truth. Despite the danger, she decides to go into the mysterious world to find him. Upon reaching inside, Mary enters the last alley and constantly calls Clark's name. After a lot of searching, she finally reaches a room where a disturbing drawing is made on the wall. In the picture, a scary demon is shown killing humans. Clark suddenly appears behind him. When Mary asks where he is, Clark answers in a mysterious tone. This place is a mix of all the places we have ever been to. But before he could understand anything else, a loud voice suddenly echoes in the alleys. Clark asks Mary to keep quiet, and without any warning, he grabs her neck and makes her unconscious. Mary once again gets lost in her old memories. She remembers a childhood when Mary and the hospital staff were taking her mother to the medical ward and later left her alone at home. For a few moments, it seems as if these painful memories are becoming a part of the back rooms. When Mary regains consciousness, she finds herself tied to a chair in a dining room. Along with Clark, 3 strange, human-like figures are sitting there. Clark says that the back rooms imitate the things and places of the outside world. Whenever a person comes there, the back rooms try to recreate people and places on the basis of that person's memories. However, these imitations are never absolutely correct and always appear in a strange and distorted form. Then he shows that neither do these creatures feel pain, nor do they feel any emotion. In reality, they have just become a means of food for them. Finally, Clark opens a refrigerator and shows Mary a cut-off head of a cat. This makes it clear that Cat was killed inside the bank rooms. Scared, Mary begs Clark to let her go. But Clark just wants to hear one thing, that she was not at fault in her marriage being broken. Then he takes out a piece of hair from the head of a lifeless woman and puts it on Mary, thinking that she is his wife. He considers her to be the same woman he had lost. He begs for forgiveness. He keeps insisting that he tried his best to save his relationship. Actually, Backrooms had become a world where Clark could escape his mistakes and failures. It was a place where he never had to admit that he was wrong. A place where he could always convince himself that he was right. But when Mary forces him to face the truth and says that she is responsible for his destruction, Clark's illusion finally breaks. For the first time, he has to face the truth. He decides to free Mary by getting carried away in his emotions. But just at that moment, the lifeless woman behind him suddenly runs away. And almost immediately, a terrifying monster appears in the form of Captain Clark. This is not an ordinary creature. This is a distorted form of Clark's suppressed anger, arrogance, and selfishness. Backrooms had turned those emotions into a real demon. Clark tries to calm that creature, as if he is facing the darkest part of his soul. But the demon refuses to listen. He slaps him and mercilessly tears his neck, which leads to his painful death. In the end, Clark himself becomes a victim of his own darkness. Mary somehow manages to escape and runs to save her life. After escaping, she finally reaches a place which looks like a distorted copy of the area where Cat and Bobby used to live. But the weird thing made by Captain Clark is still following her. In the desperate attempt to escape, Mary is badly injured, which makes it difficult for her to move forward. Soon, Captain Clark reaches near her. In the last attempt to escape, Mary gets out of a narrow path and reaches a high platform. From there, he catches a glimpse of the vast and terrifying world of the Backrooms, stretching out endlessly before him. After one, it reaches a section that looks like a bizarre imitation of Clark's furniture store. But before he can figure out what's going on, Captain Clark finds him again. During the competition, Mary attacks that jeep and manages to break one of his legs. However, during the struggle, a device starts by mistake, which emits a strange gas and spreads quickly throughout the room. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Captain Clark once again tries to overpower him. But then Mary takes out a small, stone-shaped hand from her pocket, something that had been with her since childhood and was attached to her memories, and with all her strength, she hits Captain Clark. Then she runs away from a narrow path and reaches the other side. As soon as she comes out, many masked people surround her and release gas on her. These people are actually scientists from Async Corporation, who have now fully controlled the situation. Mary is taken to a safe place, where scientists conduct various tests on her. In the meantime, scientists have also captured Captain Clark's steel life, and are trying to control it. After a while, Mary is taken to the interrogation room, where she meets Phil. He wants to know how Mary reached the back rooms. When Mary tells him about Clark's store, Phil shows him pictures of both the store and Clark, which proves his words. Then he tells him that Async actually started as a company that made MRI machines. But after researching the back rooms, everything changed. Now his mission is to understand the world in this mystery, and to make a map of its never-ending corridors. Phil tells him that Async has been researching the back rooms for years. Still, he has very little knowledge about it. Initially, Mary cooperates with the interrogation, but as soon as she suspects that she might not be allowed to leave alive once it is over, she stops answering their questions. At that very moment, the film reveals another scary truth. The backrooms not only trap people, but also learn from them. They absorb human memories, emotions, and mental trauma, and then start making distorted copies on their basis. Now the backrooms do the same to Mary. Gradually, new rooms are seen, each of which is made from her memories. But as always, these copies are never completely correct. Everything is a little broken, a little ruined, and very disturbing. As if someone is trying to recreate human memories without actually understanding them. The result is a scary form of reality. The backrooms have also made a strange steel copy of the interrogation room. Along with that, they have also made a distorted copy of Mary sitting in it. And with this scary opening, the film ends. I hope you liked this story.